Our next talk is talking about digital marketing and how you can create a lasting impact for your brand. And our speaker has a wealth of over 10 years of experience in advertising and digital marketing, now specializing in MarTech/CRM. She currently serves as the growth marketing head in PLDT Enterprise, where she plans, designs, and implements the entire marketing technology stack for PLDT Enterprise. Prior to Telco, she held key positions in several advertising agencies where she worked with some of the top brands in the Philippines like Jollibee, Johnson & Johnson, and Unilever. Please welcome on the virtual stage. I want to hear you guys give her a big round of applause wherever you are. The head of enterprise marketing growth and digital platforms of PLDT. Hello to Miss Rachel Tablante.
How's everyone doing? I hope you're having a great afternoon. Thank you so much, Beauty and Wellness Manila, for inviting us over. We definitely love to share what we learned with everyone and hopefully help current brands, future brands to growing. Yeah? Okay. So at any time, as EJ mentioned, it's an interactive talk. So feel free to chat, and then later on, feel free to ask your questions. Okay. So today we were posed a question: how can you build a lasting brand in today's experience? And I wanted to start with the screen because our brand experiences now will be different, and it sets mainly in the lens of COVID-19. So we're starting with this on brand experiences through the lens of this current pandemic. So before anything, yes, thank you, EJ, for the introduction. And I wanted to show this slide because anything really with a dog catches people's attention, right? Yeah, so that's our dog. That's our baby dog. She's Yuna. And as with the introduction, I'm the growth marketing head of PLDT Enterprise. So we're handling the website, we're handling paid media, also marketing automation at the back. On top of that, I'm also a Bar 3 instructor. I've been an instructor for 8 years. I'm also a Communitales volunteer. So later on in my examples, I wanted to give examples not just from a big telco perspective, but something also from a different perspective lang din, just to make it more relatable to everyone. And then lastly, I'm also a frustrated plant lady. So I'm also a plantita. Even before the pandemic, I'm also a plant lady. So there's something about me. So moving on, this talk, and I just wanted to frame this talk properly, or at least the sharing. The sharing is set in the context really of COVID-19 and how it has disrupted how we experience brands. So this is a chocolate tasting experience I had just this Saturday, wherein I ordered online on Serve Manila. Thank you very much. I ordered a box. They sent it over. Then we had a call. Sorry, it was a Zoom meeting just like this, and we tasted chocolate. Imagine we were breaking chocolate, we were tasting chocolate, we were smelling chocolate, all in a call. Imagine something that you would do in a hotel or in a room is done online. So therefore, in this lens, how do we as brands create a lasting impact? Or even the question is, how do we survive or even become relevant? And I guess to end this day, pa 5 o'clock na, pa 6 o'clock na, maybe these are some thought starters or some thoughts that we can ponder on. And definitely, while there are brands just like Serve Manila who see opportunities out of it, and yes, there are opportunities that come out of it. A few feel equipped that they're ready for the challenge. So just some numbers here from McKinsey, diba? So a lot of executives feel that we all need to innovate, and I'm sure that's why you're here, right? We all feel that need. But then how? Diba yun yung question? How do we do it? Where do we start? So in this journey of trying to stay relevant, of creating that lasting impact, I think there needs to be that honesty, diba? How do we even survive this? How do we even outlast this? And how do we even stay? right? So we need to take that leap. And hopefully today, this talk, From Crisis to Survival, we would give you at least some tools to reimagine. We'll be reimagining some things. Okay? So we'll be reimagining three things mainly. We'll give you some thought starters on how to reimagine your product, how you reimagine your process, and how we'll even reimagine your market, because nothing is the same. Nothing is the same. And I feel it. I'm here in my small condo giving this talk. Okay. So first, let's reimagine the product. With most of us, and I don't mean it to be too jargony, but we all have our products, right? We all have our core products, whether it's be alcohol, whether it's beauty products, whatever it is, we all have our products. But then if your business is disrupted, you have to go beyond the product. And then you need to think of it to what your core value is, from core product to core value. And I'll share with you an example on how to reimagine this. And I'll share the story that we did for Communitales. Okay, so Communitales is, as I mentioned, the group where I volunteer at. So who is Communitales before I tell you the story? So Communitales is it's a group. It's a nonprofit wherein we visit schools for animal-assisted intervention or animal-assisted activities. So for mental health. So for example, we have visits, or the group has visits in Assumption, in Ateneo, where the dogs visit kapag exam week. And one of the plans actually is that when my dog, Yuna, we were hoping that eventually we can visit hospitals in the ICU. So for animal-assisted activities for those who are stressed. So that's who Communitales was prior to the pandemic. And I think you're getting the hang of it now. Oh, wow. This is one disrupted group or activity. And as you see, the human-animal experience or this activity is a very tactile experience because you have to hold the dog, right? You have to be there to connect. And that's what the model was all about. So let's just take time to digest that. And you see also here what the definition of human-animal bond is. So how do you reframe? How do you reframe from that mindset? So we needed to take a hard look on ourselves. We needed to redefine, we needed to reimagine our sense of connection. Kasi we connected offline eh. We connected through our offline events. We connected through groups of people. We connected through the hugging of dogs. How then do you create an experience online? So we thought about it. So we had to redefine our sense of connection into a sense of community. We took a look at ourselves and realized that connection can be equated to community. And so leveraging on that, Communitales, we wanted to translate this gift of healing through online communities. And I'm going to the next product or the next activity that this has evolved to. So because we're talking now about online communities, creating groups of people online, then we created a program. We created a program that still uses the story of the dog, that tells her story, that has some activities, mindfulness activities, and a processing activity. And that's what we marketed. Because at the end of the day, what is the consumer need according to the speaker a while ago? What is the customer need today? Everyone feels isolated. Everyone feels stressed. Everyone, we all need to be a little bit more mindful and to relax a bit. So that's what we did. So using Yuna's story, I'm not just showing everyone, I'm just keeping their faces, their identities private. But we actually ran a program already wherein it's a 1.5 hour program that caters to communities, that caters to a community. So specifically for this, these were students who were studying for their med exams. So they needed an activity to help them. So yeah, we conducted this 1 hour session. So we had a doctor who had to frame it. And then I also helped there running the program, telling you a story, mindful movements, mindful breathing, and then some processing. So definitely there needed to be a change in how the product is presented. But at the end of the day, we were about communities. It was the dog bringing communities together. And that's what we're doing today. And hopefully it keeps community tales relevant. So hopefully this story inspires us. And here we have some thought starters for you with regard to that. So from core product to core value, and some thought starters here. So we always go back when we're disrupted, or when we want to have a lasting impression. We always have to go back to your brand mission. It's more than just selling. Minsan masarap magbenta lang di ba? Even sometimes as marketers, gusto mo magbenta, benta, benta. But then when you're disrupted and you need to differentiate, you have to go back to your why, to what your brand mission is, what the intrinsic values of the company are, and what your why is. And for Communitales, it helped us. It helped us to go that leap, even for a simple NGO, from offline to online. Okay? Right. So that is reimagining the product. How then can we reimagine the process? And I'll take you through that. What do I mean by this? So I think Veronica also, the previous speaker, also mentioned a while ago, from different touch points. Madaming touch points today, it's quite overwhelming. There's just so many digital media touch points, right? Yeah. To customer journeys. So then hopefully it gives us a better framework on how to manage our overall process or experience. I'll take you through it. Don't be intimidated by this next slide. Later on the plan. But I have a framework later on. But basically here we're saying prior to the pandemic, this is a presentation done by Salesforce. So Salesforce is one of our partners in PLDT Enterprise, helping us on our CRM transformation. So here we get to see, and this was in one of their talks that we attend. Here you get to see that today we're in a connected revolution. So just some quick nerdy experience. So there was the steam, there was the steam engine, electricity, computing, industrial revolution, and then now you're in connectivity. So definitely today we are in a connected revolution, and I'm sure you feel that. Baka you have your Lazada delivery, or you had your food delivered, or your products are online. So actually today we're more connected more than ever. So when you take a look at this, if almost all our lives are super connected, there's a call. There's a call for digital marketing, that you don't look at it just as digital marketing per se, but marketing in the age of digital, because then you don't see them just as touch points, but you see them as tools that will help you in the overall process. I'll take you through a framework. This is the slide. Please don't get intimidated by this slide. I'll take you through it. Okay. So it's a wordy slide, but basically what I just want to share with you, and that hopefully it helps us frame where to start or how to plan out your strategy. It's to look at things as a whole. I'll break this down later, but let's just absorb this slide. It's to look at things as a whole, right? So at the top, you get to see the customer mindset at each stage of the buying process. And on the left side, you get to see the different channels. You have your organic channels, paid channels, owned assets. Madami pa yung channels na yan, hindi ko sinulat lahat, but my goal is to give an overall framework, and then you can fill it out that's relevant to your product and to your needs. Okay, so that's that's the framework. So, and maybe just an example how you can feel this, how you can take a look at this. So imagine, I'll give a different analogy. So imagine like you have a headache, right? You have a headache. It doesn't mean na masakit lang yung ulo mo. It means that maybe your back is tight, maybe your shoulders are tight, maybe there's tightness in your neck, maybe you didn't drink enough water. Point is, you cannot take things in isolation, especially in marketing in the age of digital, because everything is connected. And everything is so connected, whether we like it or not, just like our bodies. So I'm just giving you that analogy so that you get to say, oh, it has to be, in a way, it's that intuitive already when it comes to digital. And maybe it doesn't need to be super rocket science. So that's the point that I'm trying to drive at. Okay, so let's break down this framework. Okay. So from a mindset perspective, there's different steps in the buying journey. And again, hopefully this helps you frame your campaigns or your strategy later on. So at some point, people are asking what their problem is. So for example, later on, I wanted to buy an air purifier. So later, and I'll explain this through that lens. So at some point, people don't know what their problem is. So some people in your target market don't know what their problem is. Some of them know the problem and are looking to fix it. Some of them are comparing, and some want to reach you, and then your current customers would actually want to, how do you make them stay? So remember, it's not, because it's digital, it's personal. It's a personal experience on your phone. So it's not already like ATL or print or TV that one message fits all. Because of digital, you can actually slice your communications and your targeting can be into these different messages. And that's the challenge and beauty of it. So hopefully this framework helps. This is something that we use. Okay, right. So that's from a mindset perspective. Now from a channels perspective, then you get to see that there's organic channels. Basically, these are channels that you don't pay for. So for example, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, ang dami. And these organic channels can even be your Facebook marketplace. This can be your Instagram shop, Facebook shop, okay? And And then next, you also have your paid channels. So these are channels naman that you pay for. So di ba may mga questions kanina, paano yung paid media, paano yung advertising? This is where it lands. So notice that there can be a strategy with organic and also paid. Okay. And then lastly, you have your own assets, and that's where your websites can come in. Eventually, if you have your email marketing, that can also fall under owned assets. Okay. So let's go through each. So, and again, hopefully this helps. This is not Bible truth, but hopefully it helps you relate with your brand, with your business, and gives a framework on how you can plan out your campaigns and strategies later on. So these are suggestions or thought starters. Okay. So for example, if someone's looking for the problem, if you have a complicated product, for example lang, or feeling mo your product needs explaining. Example, air purifier. I didn't know that I needed an air purifier until I watched a video saying how polluted the air is, and my allergies can be caused by pollutants. So that made me realize that I have a problem, and eventually I need an air purifier. So something like that. So for those who don't know what their problem is, information about the problem the product is addressing. So because sometimes they don't even know that they need it. So you need to guide them through that process. Okay. Next, I'm going from left to right. Okay. Next, if they know naman that they have the problem, then how do they fix it? What are the solutions? So maybe this is where you can present what your product has to offer, right? So meaning one material does not need to fit all, lalo na sa attention span ng mga tao. So you can phase it out, right? And if you're doing your paid media, then you can target based on who you think certain messages are relevant to a particular market. Okay, all right. Next, some people would be asking, are you right for me? So at this point, people would be comparing, diba? What makes your product superior to others? So dapat when it comes to your features, etc., it has to be clear. How do I reach you? Clear call to actions should be there, and how to buy. And then lastly, loyalty and retention. Baka later on, it can be in your paid media, but at least this can be a starting framework for your organic channels. Okay, and then just notice na pwede siya for Facebook and for Instagram. But later on, iba naman yung strategy mo for paid channels. Kailangan ba lahat all at the same time? Pwedeng hindi. As long as strategic yung gamit mo per media. Kasi hindi rin madali gumawa ng content. So, yun, it's basically strategic use. Hindi siya lahat all at the same time. Kung kaya, game, but given limited resource, then be strategic about it. Okay, next. So I mentioned about paid media, organic channels, right? So it's all about creating purposeful content for each channel. So madami siya eh. Madami na nga siya, cluttered na nga, as mentioned a while ago. So you need to be purposeful with your content. Kung mamimili ka, At kung mag-execute ka ng tama para sa medium na yon, para maging hardworking siya para sa medium na yon. So for example, for Facebook, these can be videos and curated content, and you can even maximize Marketplace and Facebook Shop. Then for Instagram, notice how each platform is also used and the nuances of each platform. It's not wrong to copy paste from Facebook to Instagram, but notice you as a user, iba, di ba? Iba yung paggamit mo ng Facebook, iba din yung mga tinitingnan mong posts on Instagram. Then you leverage on that use, right? So on Instagram, ideally, you create purposeful content such as beautiful photos, quotes, and stories. On Twitter, if you're using Twitter, news, blog posts, etc. On YouTube, it's long form, educational, or even entertaining content. Diyan ako tumingin ng reviews ng air purifier at diyan ko na nakapili kung anong bibilin ko. And on LinkedIn, you can have your, if you're using LinkedIn, we're using LinkedIn because we're corporate, but jobs, company news, professional content, etc. But point of this slide is be deliberate. Be deliberate on the use of each social media channel. It's not just about quantity. Sorry cliche, pero ganun pa rin siya, 'di ba? Some classic classic learnings still apply. Quality pa rin. Okay. So next, so that's for your organic content. Next would be for your paid channels. So for example, do you need to boost all of your organic content? It's up to you. You don't have to. But if there are really good content that kinarir mo, nagpa-shoot ka, may video ka, then go ahead. Boost it. Separately, I didn't include it here in this presentation, but you can plan out your campaigns, yung hero, hub, hygiene, content framework of Google. You can go ahead and check that so that you can also plan your content. It's not part of this, but feel free to research that. Okay. So you can boost, for example, educational materials. Do you need to boost all? Pwedeng oo, pwedeng hindi. Kasi nga, ano sa tingin mo yung mindset ng customer na target mo? Do they don't know the problem is? Do they know what the solution is? Pwede naman different, diba? You can even A/B test. Again, I will not delve into that. It's going to be a very long talk. But you can also play with it that way, okay? And again, that's the beauty of paid media. And then, for example, for paid channels, next on YouTube, for example, you can tap influencers on their personal challenges and experiences. You can even ask them to do a review on how the product helped them and how it's superior over other products. So I just put it here as an example. Now, it's not just boosting paid. You can also ask for partnerships. You can even ask for influencers to help you out. And then lastly, search ads. I'm a fan of search. So search ads on moment marketing. So for example, I'm sure everyone or most of us have searched on Google. So hopefully, and I did it. Best air purifier Philippines, top 10 air purifier, X brand over this brand. I did everything on search. So maybe when people are looking for you, you'd want to be in search, or maybe you'd want to do SEO. Feel free to note that if you want to optimize your website, feel free to research on best SEO practices. But yeah, optimize also for search. Okay. I will be brief with this, just to nerd a bit on paid media. Okay, but don't worry, it's just one slide. So if you're doing paid media, which is this, just one thing, or maybe just one reminder that I have for everyone is that be very clear of your campaign objectives. Okay, just be very clear with it, because it has money. Sayang naman. So I'll just be fast with this. Okay, so there's different objectives. There's different metrics. Feel free to take a screen cap of it and then research later on if you want to go deeper on it. But madali lang yan when you do your placements. But basically, just be very clear of what your objective is. Kasi may mga benchmarks, merong mga buying models that's specific to your objective, which is the beauty of digital. Okay, so I'll just run through it one by one. So if you want people to know your product, your metric should be reach. For madami, gusto mo madami makakita nun. So you want to optimize cost per unique person, or cost per reach, or vis-a-vis cost per mil. So Ganun siya. So you want to optimize for reach. If you want people to go to your website, then you want to target people who will click on the website. So cost per click, dapat ang mini-measure mo. If you want people to download your app, it's installs, cost per install. So you get what I'm saying? So if you want people to download the app, then maybe it's not about optimizing for reach, but optimizing for the target who will actually download it. Yeah. Hopefully you're still following me. Yeah. Okay. So, and then if you want download white paper, for example this is an enterprise use case, leads, metric can be leads, cost per lead, kasi you want them to sign up, or maybe a newsletter, diba? Sign up for a newsletter. You want them to sign up and get into your database. And then lastly, if you want them to buy from your online store, then it's cost per sale. So, and then ROI. So again, you mahirap siya, but it's worth it to be very clear on your objectives, even from a paid media perspective, and even, diba, from a strategy business perspective. Okay. So that's for paid media. And then lastly, for your own assets, for your website. And if you have a website, point is, you can put everything there. Do you need the website right away? No. But if you have, this is an example, if you have your own assets, then you can put everything there. So the challenge that the product is solving, product benefits, product superiority, your ordering system, payment delivery, and even your loyalty offers can be there. So yun ang beauty ng owned assets. You can put everything there and you control it. Okay. So I'll give you one example. So my husband, he's a photographer, but at the same time, he has this pet project, literally pet project this pandemic. So he put up a website and he wanted to try selling coffee. So he's selling coffee. So this is our website. It's Yuna Coffee. He made it on his own. Social lang yan. So everything is there. And notice, he wanted the flavor of the dog and he wanted it to be unique from all the coffee brands out there. So he related it with Yuna. And the benefits are here. Payment, it's important. Delivery and logistics. Should also be clear, especially in this day and age. So it was mentioned kanina in the previous speaker, di ba may mga different piece tayo, di ba, in marketing, product, promotion, but in today's day and age, and it was discussed previously, but I just want to emphasize also that payment and logistics is super important, and it's really part of your customer experience. You can have great promotions, you can have great product, but if it gets delivered late, or if it's hard to pay, then the sale will still be hard to do. So that's just a reminder on that. Okay. So that's for process. So some thought starters here. So what are your customers' needs at each of the buying stage? Are you thinking of them? Currently ba, buo mo siya ina-approach? Maybe there's value and really checking at what part of the buying journey they're in. And all these are also online. It's the sales funnel. It's the awareness interest conversion funnel. Feel free to research that also. Are you creating content specific to the platform, right? Are you copy pasting? That's fine. But then are you maximizing the platform for what it's used for so that people engage with your content? And then lastly, how can you create a seamless transaction for your customers? And it's not just on the website, but maybe even how you respond to them, right? If they message your Instagram, how fast do you respond? Do you respond politely? The subtle details in those. And then lastly, we'll also reimagine, and maybe there's also a call to reimagine the market, especially not just for big businesses, but for all types of businesses. So, and here's how we can reimagine from customers to actually a community. And what differentiates this, at least from how I wrote this, it's not just a transaction, it's not just bayad, bile, done. But if you look at your market from a community perspective, then there's also that thought of what are the shared values that you have together? What is it beyond the transaction that will want them to go back to you? And really, again, the topic of this talk is how to create a lasting impact for your brand for survival and relevance. So what are those shared values? And I'll share with you another story. So as I mentioned in the introduction, I'm a bar 3 instructor. So I've been an instructor for 8 years. And I'm sure everyone, or again, most would know, any exercise is done inside the studio. And it's a group of people sharing the same air, sharing the same aircon. So of course we were disrupted during the pandemic. And the beauty of how the team adapted is that in the first few months, there was a call to preserve the community. It wasn't about bentahan natin sila, magbenta na agad tayo ng Zoom classes. It wasn't that. But ako, I was witness to how Bar 3 also evolved. There was a lot of live classes at the start. This was around April, and even us as instructors, we were also, paano ba natin to gagawin? Paano ba tayo magla-live class? But yeah, it was to preserve the community. So on the leftmost side, that's our master trainer, and us and all the other instructors. We gave free classes just to preserve the community. So again, maybe some thought starters also on that. It's not, my point isn't about giving freebies, but what can you do to bring the community together? What shared activities or what shared things can you do for them so that you will translate from just transaction to community to brand love. So another example, Bar 3 naman in the US also had their own activities. You can sign up for a newsletter. Signing up for a newsletter, you can subscribe. And at the same time, they offered free trials for people at home who can try it. You're also free to do this. Go ahead and get a free online trial. Just go to the website. But yeah, and again, it's all about, there's that genuine care for your cost for the clients. And I think that's what the clients appreciated about us. And true enough, from a community perspective, and I'm proud of the group, other brands are actually leveraging on the community Bar 3 has. So for example, Hygienist, which is actually an air purifier brand, actually tapped Bar 3, partnered with Bar 3 to leverage on Bar 3's community so that it will bring traffic to their Lazada store. At nagla-Lazada live sila through Bar 3. So brands actually acknowledge the strength Bar 3 has, that the community has. So that's the beauty of it. And then number 2, if you're very clear of your shared values, you can also attract other brands who have the same values and create a bigger impact with that. And also, this is another example. Ang daming story na sinasabi ng slide na to, and you can also see the different channels that your brands can actually be in. You can be in Lazada or in other e-commerce shops, and you can also maximize again the Facebook shops, marketplace, Instagram shops of this world. So these platforms. But again, it all boils down to the touch points, as mentioned earlier. So just some thought starters here on the market. So as I've shared, what shared values do you have with your market? How can you make the transaction beyond money? How do you make it less transactional and more shared values? What brands even share the same values? And what experience can you even create from these shared values? So it's going beyond the product. So that's it. So just to summarize for today, we reimagined 3 things so that we can create a lasting impact for our brand. We reimagined your product from core product to core value. We reimagined your process from just merely touch points to customer journeys. And then lastly, we reimagined how we look at our market from just transactional customers to communities with shared values. So that hopefully in our quest to reimagine that our brand not only survives, but in our quest for a lasting impact for our brand, we can constantly be relevant. Thank you.
How are you? I was listening to your speech the entire time. You were
Thank
asking
you so much.
at one point if we were following through. I was gobbling everything up. And I kind of felt, I actually felt your frustration about not getting too jargony, like what you said. You were talking about SEO and what was the other one? A/B testing. That's
Yeah,
corporate
yeah.
talk right there. Yeah, I know it's hard as a marketing professional myself, but I loved your presentation. Thank you so much. From Mary Grace Raymundo on the chat, she says, very educational, and she says, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have questions for you. We are now in the questions and answer portion. I have a question from somebody, from Aline Dizon. How can we promote beauty products with Facebook and Instagram without being too repetitive for a beauty product brand? In using social media, how do you touch point on sensitivity in your content as you sell or offer a product?
So if I understood correctly, how can you sell without having to be too repetitive?
Yes, that's the gist of the question. Yes.
Okay. I'll start. There's different ways to skin a cat, basically. So for example, and again, these are just some quick tips. So for example, if you have a product, whatever it is, lotion, whatever. Sorry, bad example, makeup. You can start from a product benefit. Sorry, medyo educational siya masyado. Ang template niya. You can product benefit, what it is, what it does. But at the same time, you can elevate it, how it makes people feel. So what are the benefits from that level? And then, sorry, what can it do for you and what it can feel? So pwede mo siyang i-elevate from that experience. So kunyari, bad examples lang ha, sorry. At the top of my head, vitamins. Vitamin A and B, calcium, it has calcium, whatever, vitamins, done. That's functional. You can have material based on that for people who are OC on anong laman niya. But at the same time, what can you do with it? You can run better. You can be more alert. Pwede yun, what it does. And then you can elevate it. If you're doing that, how does it make you feel? You can be more fulfilled. So again, based on your target market, you can have different iterations on where they are. So yun lang, some practical tips on how you can articulate things differently.
Right, and to add to that, you were very clear in describing about making the customer experience not transactional, but sometimes personal helps, right? Like what you said.
Right, exactly.
Right. So, there you go.
So yeah, thanks, EJ. Sorry, just to add to that, thank you so much. So,
yes, go ahead.
So yeah, you do have that framework, and at the same time, so I love frameworks kasi it just helps you approach a problem, diba? So you have a framework on how you can talk about the product. Pwede mo rin kasi tingnan from where they are in the customer buying journey. So for example, okay, if they don't know about my product, kung hindi nila alam ano talaga yung ginagawa ng product ko, articulate it in that way. How will you sell a product to someone who doesn't know about it at all? Then for someone who knows about the product, how can you articulate, how can you say that your product is better than the other product? Then there's different ways of articulating based on that mindset. So hopefully those are useful tips you can do tomorrow. Thank you.
I'm sure that's useful for Alan Dizon. Okay, one more question. What channel can you recommend for a startup business? I think when she asks for channels, I think she means platforms.
Okay. Challenging question. Okay, maybe I'll from a promotion perspective na lang din siguro. From a channel perspective, at the end of the day, I know there's a lot, but you always go where people are at. So for example, if you take a look at paid channels, social media channels, it's still Facebook and Instagram who's dominating the industry. I know that there's a lot coming in, but if you're a startup with limited resources, then you go to where it will work, diba? So, and it's a very practical answer. You can be on Facebook, you can be on Instagram. If you're niche, then go ahead, you can do TikTok. But still, those are the main. Even from I'm PLDT, diba? So, from
Yes.
market dominance perspective, that's still also where we are, because that's where the most of the Filipino market still is. So from that perspective, from a social media perspective, yun yung answer ko. From an own media perspective, maybe not. You can have your own website. Maybe you can. It depends on what kind of startup you are. Sorry, ha. But but you can even leverage on the existing channels muna before investing in your own platform. So hopefully that gives you a gauge of it.
Right. And then when they find their niche market later on, then they stick to whatever that is, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay, last question for you. I'm not going to hold you on for much longer. Will it be strategic for a brand to get a representation from personal experience now? Everyone's focus is largely on screen. We see graphics or personal stories, but won't it affect levels of privacy?
So does that mean just to personal experiences of other people, testimonials? Is that what the question meant?
I actually have trouble trying to specify the question, but I guess it is. From personal experience, I think of an influencer probably, from an influencer point of view. I'm not sure if we understand your question, viewer, correctly.
But from a testimonial perspective,
yes.
definitely testimonials help. From a data privacy perspective, it just helps to ask. If you want to use a testimonial of someone, just ask. Maybe feel free to research. You can just ask them to sign something. Sorry. but yeah, testimonials are great. It's reviews are great. That's actually what ako din, when I bought something, when I used reviews to actually assess whether a product is good or not. So yeah.
Okay. Can you still see me? I'm lost
I can
now.
see you.
All right, Rachel, thank you very much. It was such a pleasure having you in Beauty and Wellness Manila. From PLDT Enterprise, ladies and gentlemen, let's say goodbye to Rachel. Thank you, Rachel.
Everyone.
We'll see you around.
Thank you so much, Beauty and Wellness. Have a great day.